Hello and welcome to Miss Seeley's math video number 16. Today I'm going to review the notes for lesson 7.6 and 7.7. They're both about probability. So it says probability is a fraction that expresses the likelihood that an outcome will happen. If you convert a probability into a percent, it's called a chance. So for example, if the probability of something is 1/2, then you say the chance is 50. The chance of that event happening is 50%. Theoretical probability is found by figuring out what should happen in theory. That's when you only use math. You don't actually do it. You figure out what should happen based on the likelihood of that outcome occurring. So it's always a fraction. The numerator is the number of favorable outcomes. So let's say you were talking about how many times you would get an even number when you roll a dice. Okay, the even numbers on a die are 2, 4, and 6. So that's 3 favorable outcomes, the 2, the 4, and the 6, and the number of possible outcomes on a die would be 6 because there's 6 faces. Okay, so the theoretical probability of rolling an even number on a die is 3 out of 6, and then probability fractions can also be reduced. So we can reduce that by dividing by 3, and we get the probability of 1/2 probability of rolling an even number on a die. Okay, moving on to experimental probability. Experimental probability is when you actually do the experiment. Instead of figuring out what the likelihood of rolling an even number is, you actually roll the dice and you count how many times you got an even number. So it's found by actually carrying out an experiment and finding the results. This time you put the number of times that you got the outcome you want on top, and underneath you put the number of times you actually rolled the dice. The more times an experiment is repeated, the more similar the theoretical and experimental data become. If you think about flipping a coin, you should get a 1/2 chance of getting heads. But if you only flip the coin once, maybe you get tails and you say that you get tails 100% of the time. That's not very valid because you've only done the experiment once. If you do the experiment a million times, you will probably get results much closer to 1/2 of the times getting hit. Okay, thanks for listening to the video. I'll see you in the next one.